Today, I'm going to share with you the simple 3-step process that I use to overcome my pornography addiction. And I guarantee that this process is so simple to follow, so simple to execute on, that if you take action and if you do not give up, you will succeed at not just overcoming your pornography addiction, but at creating the life that you know you have been called to live. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Coach Frank Rickich. And back in 2019, I found my freedom after a 20-year struggle with pornography addiction. And that led me to starting to share my story online and through the podcast, The Superhuman Life. And it was through that message, it was through those conversations on a weekly basis that led me to where we are today. Founder of Rebuilt Recovery, host of the Rebuilt Man podcast. We are the #1 coaching company in the world that helps high-performing men unlock freedom in their lives, find peace without porn. So I want to share with you this framework because I think it's so simple to understand. And I'm going to give you the intricacies to it here as well. Because it's not about just knowing what this plan is, but it's about being able to actually execute on it. The first thing I did back in 2019 is I made the decision and I made a commitment to no longer allowing my emotions to control my behaviors. Here's what I mean. For 20 years, I consumed pornography, and there was not a rational, logical explanation as to why. I had relationships. I had close people that cared about me. I had goals. I had success. I had a social community. I had the ability to help and serve others. Yet there was something that was lacking emotionally inside of me that I used pornography as an escape. There's no logical reason as to why I would return back to the screen. So in 2019, I had to get really clear and truly commit that I was no longer going to allow my emotions to drive my behaviors. It didn't matter what the feeling or thought that I had was. Porn was not a logical answer. And once I was clear on the emotional impact that it was having, once I was clear on this distinction that I could see, I had to commit to no longer allowing that to happen. And that leads me into step 2. Step 2 of this simple process is once you decide and commit to no longer allowing your emotions to drive your behaviors. Step 2 is to figure out who you need to become in order to no longer let your emotions drive your behaviors. Who do you need to become? Once you make the commitment to stop allowing your emotions to control you, how do you actually do that? Do you not know what the emotions are? Is there a level of self-reflection and inner work that needs to take place? What are the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that I'm running from to pornography? Where are they showing up? Are there patterns in my porn use? What am I lacking in terms of the ability to regulate those emotions? Because I know that porn isn't the logical and rational reason to deal with those emotions. So what are the healthier alternatives? How do people that have the same emotions, thoughts, and feelings that I did, because I'm not unique in feeling rejected. I'm not unique in feeling alone. I'm not unique in the emotions that drove me to porn. So how do people that don't use porn as the escape deal with those emotions? So that was step 2 for me. Step 1 is I made the commitment. And gentlemen, if you're somebody that doesn't keep your commitments, your work is going to be right there on step 1. But I made the commitment that I was sick and tired of that life. And I believed that the other was possible. So that's the asterisk there in step 1, right? It's like you have to believe. Step 2 is I had to identify where I was lacking. For me, it was having trusted people in my life that I could bounce these things off of. See, it was a secret for 20 years. And that's why there was so much shame and guilt wrapped up in it. So I had to find people in my life that I could entrust in and have the necessary conversations to allow me to build the path to freedom that I needed. For you, it may be that. It may be lacking real accountability. It may be the inability to regulate your emotional states. It may be you don't even know what the emotions are that you're running from. But it all comes back to step 2, figuring out who you need to become. And there can be some tentacles that come out of that step. So this is the simple 3-step process that's probably for many of us going to include other additional steps. But here's the simplified framework. Commit to becoming the person that no longer allows his emotions to control his behavior. Figure out who you need to become in order to no longer allow your emotions to control your behavior. And step 3, don't allow setbacks to spark you emotionally. Do not get emotional about your setbacks and challenges. And there's all connected together. You see, what happens is many of you say you're committed. You then begin to do the work, but then something bad happens. I'm not going to say a failure occurs because you choose when you fail in this journey, but a setback presents itself, an obstacle, a challenge, a misstep. And for most of you, you allow that to drive you up emotionally. And then we're right back at the beginning of being the person that allows his emotions to drive his behaviors. There's no logical and rational explanation as to why we go back to porn. It's emotionally driven behavior. You're either seeking feelings and emotions or you're running from feelings and emotions. And once you can zoom out far enough and see it through this lens, then you have something that you can work with. But you have to detach your behavior from your emotions. You have to detach your identity from your emotions. Just because you feel a certain thing doesn't mean it's you. Just because you had a particular thought doesn't mean that thought is you. And a step for most of you is recognizing that the freedom that you want, the life that you desire, the peace on the other side of this addiction is sitting literally on the other side of you not allowing your emotions to drive your behaviors. And I said 3 simple steps, probably embedded with many other steps. And what I've done is I've done the legwork for you. Maybe you struggle to keep your commitments. We've built a program that's centered around keeping commitments and becoming the person that can. Maybe you don't know what your emotional drives are. What is the root of why you continue to run? We've built a framework that helps you identify by asking the necessary questions to lead you there. Maybe you don't have the people in your life that can help you in understanding these things. We've built a community of men that do this journey together and support and uplift each other. Maybe you just need the person that's going to hold you accountable and hold you to a higher standard. We provide one-to-one support through this journey for you. Now, if that's something that you're interested in, you can test drive our community. You can join us for free for a week. If you visit skool.com, SKOOL.com/reboot your life, or click the link down there in the show notes below. You can join our community. You can get the framework to identify the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that are driving you to porn. You can begin to build the necessary skill set to no longer allow your emotions to drive you back to porn. You can be in a community of men that are uplifting you and supporting you in your journey to no longer becoming the man that allows his emotions to drive his behavior. Test it out for free. Reboot your life. Skool.com, SKOOL.com/reboot your life, or click the link down there in the show notes below. Guys, I hope that this was valuable and simple. If you take action and truly live out number 3, and don't give up, freedom will be yours. Coach Frank, the Rebuilt Man, guys, we love you. See you in the next one.